Alright guys, welcome back to another video. In our last video, I told you guys that we would be going over some of the current projects in the fish room, and well, today is that day. And for those of you that are new to the channel, as I've noticed recently that we've had a bit of an uptick in subscribers lately, my name is Jesse and this is Riverfront Aquatics. And the other guy you're going to see on the channel is David. Now David is currently out of commission right now. He just had surgery and we're hoping it gets better soon and gets right back to putting out some videos for you guys. Now today, as far as projects on the list, I've actually got 2 to 3, maybe 4 things to show you. Number one, I'm going to start off with showing you the betta fish that we bred. And we've also bred some paradise fish, and we are currently working on trying to breed some super red bristlenose plecos, as well as some bronze corridora catfish. Now, I haven't had too good of luck with these guys in the past, but I've made some improvements and some tweaks to the tank, so we're going to see what happens with that in the future. So you guys make sure that you check back here for future videos to see the updates on that. Now this is a 10-gallon grow out tank for half moon bettas that we bred back in October. These guys have been growing out now for a couple months. A majority of what's left in this tank are going to be females. I still have a few males that are catching up, and then those are going to get cupped and separated as well. Now we do this with breeding betta fish because the males tend to get a little ornery per se, and they will pick on their brothers and sisters, and before you know it, you've got all your baby bettas fighting because, you know, that's just the nature of the fish. So right around the time I start seeing them pick at fins and nip at one another, I start going ahead and pulling my males out and cupping them. This way I can also condition them and groom them to get them ready to go to stores. Now this is another 10-gallon that I recently spawned a pair of red half moon bettas in. And this is probably the biggest betta spawn that I have ever had to this date. Now this 5-gallon houses my final spawn currently. These are a dragon scale koi betta. Now these ones I'm the most excited about for obvious reasons. These guys were born in January as well, and they are cruising right along. These guys have been taking a baby brine shrimp the last few weeks, and I started them off with infusoria and microworm. Now I don't always recommend feeding a lot of microworms to young fry, especially because in bettas it's been shown to cause birth defects. However, feeding it once a week isn't that bad as a supplemental nutrition source for the fry throughout the day. Paradise fish we bred. Now I set these guys up to spawn back in October, and around October 8th we had close to 200 paradise fish, and a majority of them are still carrying on. But they are growing absolutely quickly and their colors are coming in phenomenally. And pretty soon these guys will get raised up and I'll be able to put these back into the hands of hobbyists at our local fish store. Now this is going to be the last and final tank that we discussed today. This is the 20 tall that I showed you guys last week that we've planted up in the past, and if you follow us on TikTok, I've done a whole series on documenting the growth of these aquatic plants. Now if you haven't figured out yet by the last video, I've got a pleco cave set up in here. We are actually going to work on breeding a pair of super red bristlenose plecos that are in here. I'm also wanting to try to spawn these cories that we have in here. We've also been breeding out a ton of fancy guppies, and I would overall just like to see this tank get multiple things breeding. It's kind of a goal of mine to see how many fish I can breed in the same tank. This being a 20 tall, this is a good challenge for me, So I hope you guys stick around to see what happens with this, and maybe we'll learn something new together. And these black neons really set this tank off. Now currently, to try to breed these bristlenose plecos, I've been feeding them zucchini every day with a mix of other veggies, green beans, cucumber, algae wafers, just trying to pump these guys up with tons and tons of protein before we try to get them to spawn. And I also added a wave maker in the back. I wanted to get a little current going in here because I figured that would do well for the cories and the plecos. Now typically your black neons don't like a lot of flow. However, with all of the plant matter in the tank, I was hoping that this would reduce the flow enough to keep them comfortable while keeping a majority of the flow towards the lower end of the tank, aimed towards the catfish. Now with this in mind, everybody should still spawn in here and breed happily. So we'll see what happens. Well, anyhow, guys, that about wraps it up for today's video. Make sure you check back next week because I'm going to be diving into another project yet again. In the last video, I mentioned being inspired by L.R. Brett's to do something with one of the 10-gallon tanks, and I think I'm going to bring you guys along for that. So make sure you guys get your butts back here and check out that next video. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate that. And if you're not already, make sure that you subscribe. You guys aren't going to want to miss any of the cool stuff coming out in the future for you guys. But anyhow, Riverfront fam, until we catch you in the fish room next time, peace.